Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. I wish and hope all of you will be doing fine and enjoying good health, and all of your family members would be having great time. So, in our today's lecture, we will continue with our previous discussion about the comprehensive nuclear test ban treaty, and we will today we will talk about the ratification and verification procedure, and then we will finally conclude this treaty with our critical analysis of the treaty. But before getting into today's discussion, I would again like to remind you that your exams might start by the end of this month, or in the first half of the next month. So you guys are advised to keep preparing for your final term exams properly and positively. And again, I would like to remind you about the research assignments you are supposed to write for your sessionals. So as I have asked you in our previous lecture that you all are advised to send me your research topic by the end of this week, or during the next week. uh, and if somebody would not submit me his or her research topic by that time, I would later on um, choose a topic for research assignment for those persons, and that will be final, and you would have to write a research assignment on that particular topics. So take a benefit out of this freedom and choose the topic of your research assignment by yourself. And again, a warm reminder about the summer camp which is being organized in our department. So if somebody is interested in this summer course, he or she can enroll himself or herself for that. And maybe tomorrow will be the deadline for that. So all the information has been shared in your WhatsApp group. So those who are interested can take benefit out of that. Okay, now we will move to our today's discussion about the ratification and verification procedures of the comprehensive nuclear test ban treaty. As far as the verification and compliance is concerned, Article 4 of the Treaty of CTBT deals, and the verification protocol, which has been established for this very purpose, deals with the treaties. They have established the treaties verification regime, and this verification regime is consist of four basic bodies or elements. The first one is the International Monitoring System, also known as the IMS. The second element is the consultation and verification, and the next one is on-site inspection, and final one is the confidence building measures. So these are the four basic elements of the verification regime, which has been established under the Article 4 of CTBT. So we will talk about these basic elements one by one. So as far as the IMS is concerned, it consists of 321 monitoring stations all around the world, and 16 laboratories have been built globally. So in the world, 16 laboratories have also been established for the monitoring of the nuclear assets, or nuclear designs, or nuclear stockpiles of the states parties to the CTBT. So the four different types of monitoring technologies have been used for the monitoring system, and these are seismology, hydroacoustics, infrasound, and radionuclide. I don't think it is highly imperative for us here to get into the discussion about, or get into the detail about these terminologies. So these are the various technologies which are being used for the monitoring system by the verification regime established under Article 4 of the CTBT. Now we will talk about the consultation and clarification, which is another basic element of the regime which has been established under Article 4 of the CTBT. This component of the verification regime encourages state parties to attempt to resolve, either among themselves or through the organization, possible instances of non-compliance before requesting an on-site inspection. So when a state has been or when states party sites have been inspected by this very regime, verification regime, before that, this consultation and clarification component of the verification regime, this component of regime encourages or motivates the state parties to resolve their possible instances of non-compliance before such request of on-site inspection is made, and they can resolve this instances of non-compliance among themselves. They can use both two tools. One is that they can resolve, the parties involved in that, they can either resolve this issue of non-compliance by themselves, or they can go to the organization for the resolution of the instances of non-compliance before a request for on-site inspection is made by one party to another. Then the verification regime also incorporates confidence building measures that are intended to promote treaty compliance, and in order to reduce the possibility that verification data may be misconstrued, each state party voluntarily provides the technical secretariat with notification of any chemical explosion involving a magnitude of 300 tons or more of TNT equivalent on its territory. Each state party may also assist the technical secretariat in calibration of international monitoring system stations. So, in our previous lecture, we talked about the various subsidiary bodies to implement the clauses of Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, and Technical Secretariat is one of such subsidiary bodies. And in order to promote treaty compliance through confidence building measures, each state party can assist the technical secretariat in calibration of international monitoring system stations. So the confidence building measures, which is another basic element of the verification regime established under the Article 4 of the CTBT. This is another key element to promote the treaty compliance. Now we will talk about the amendment procedures, that how the clauses or of the treaty of CTBT can be amended. We can see that Article 7, each state party has the right to propose amendment to the treaty after its entry into force. So one prerequisite which is mentioned here to amend the treaty is that first of all it should be put into force, which still has not been achieved yet. It is still has to be achieved. This treaty has still to be entered into force. So until this treaty is entered into force, no state party can propose amendment to the treaty. But the process has been mentioned in the various articles of the Treaty of CTBT, and the procedures has been established in the text of the CTBT, and Article 7 deals with the amendment process. Any proposed amendment requires the approval of simple majority of state parties. So simple majority is required to amend the treaty, to propose amendment. So when a state proposes an amendment, this should be made legal or effective only if a simple majority will cast a vote in the favor of proposed amendment at an amendment conference. And there is another requirement that no party casting a negative vote, that not a single state party should cast a negative vote or vote against the proposed amendment. So around 3 requirements have been mentioned over here to propose an amendment in the treaty. The first one is that the treaty should be put into force first, then the proposed amendment should have a simple majority in its favor, and the third one is that not a single state party should cast a negative vote against the proposed amendment. Now we will talk about the peaceful nuclear explosions. We also have briefly discussed about the peaceful nuclear explosions in our previous lecture, and here we will talk about this very aspect of the treaty in a bit more detail. And Article 8 of the Treaty of Nuclear Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, a conference will be held after 10 years of the treaty, once the treaty enters into a force, to review the implementation of its provisions, including the preamble. As far as the preamble is concerned, it is the opening statement comprising of the objectives and goals of the very treaty. So once the treaty enters into force, a conference will be held after 10 years to review the implementation of its provisions that has been prescribed under Article 8 of CTBT. And at this review conference, any state party may request that the issue of so-called peaceful nuclear explosions be put on the agenda. So once the review conference would be held, any state party, any member state of the treaty can make such a request that the issue of the so-called issue of peaceful nuclear explosions should be put on the agenda. So, and it would be included in the agenda of the review conference. First, the review conference must decide without objection that peaceful nuclear explosions may be permitted. Then an amendment to the treaty must also be approved without objections at a separate amendment conference. So first of all, once the review conference will be initiated, the conference will decide without any objection that the peaceful nuclear explosions will be permitted, and then in the next review conference the treaty must also approve without objection. Then an amendment to the treaty must be approved at a separate amendment conference. So the amendment cannot be approved in the very conference in which the peaceful nuclear explosions are permitted. Finally, the amendment must also demonstrate that no military benefits would result from such explosions. So, if there will be any doubt or there will be any apprehension that the particular amendment would provide some military benefit to particular state, this amendment should not be approved. So the amendment must demonstrate that no military benefit would result from such explosions. As far as the duration and withdrawal of a state party, or duration of the treaty and withdrawal of a state party is concerned, Article 9 deals with all that, and Article 9D states the treaty has an unlimited duration. So this treaty has been established, this treaty has been created without any time limitations, and each state party has the right to withdraw from the treaty if it decides extraordinary events related to the subject matter of this treaty have jeopardized its supreme national interest. And if a state's national interests are in danger, being a member of this treaty, each state party has the very right to withdraw from the treaty. And in order to withdraw from the treaty, a notice of intent to withdraw must be given at least 6 months in advance. So, if a state wants to withdraw from this treaty, they would have to furnish a letter of intent to leave the treaty at least 6 months before withdrawal. So, as far as the entry into force is concerned, which is the key objective, still has to be achieved. Article 14 of the treaty deals with that, and the treaty will not enter into force. The Article 14 states that the treaty will not enter into force until it has been signed and ratified by 44 states listed by name in Annex 2, and I would provide you with that lecture in the reading materials. This also includes the permanent five of the Security Council, such as the United States, Russia, Britain, France, and China, as well as India, Israel, North Korea, and Pakistan. These are all included in the 44 states listed in Annex 2, and they all have to be ratified this treaty if it has to be entered into force. Until the treaty enter into force, conferences may be held for those states that have already deposited their instruments of ratification. Since 1999, the conference facilitating entry into force of the CTBT has been convened every other year. So, talking about the final critical analysis, we can conclude this whole treaty in the following words. The treaty, though prohibits nuclear test explosions, however, the same has come under serious criticism too. One of the most controversial provisions of the treaty deal with the entry into force clause, because of which India was keen in its opposition. It cannot be denied that the CTBT, NPT, and various other attempts towards nuclear disarmament are steps in positive direction. However, the nuclear weapon states showing no interest in willing to disarm these treaties are just another instance that makes us realize that international law is a vanishing point of jurisprudence. So you can see the drawbacks of this treaty, the positive and negatives of this treaty in this very concluding remarks. So if you have any queries, please feel free to write your questions to me, and I would be happy to answer your questions. Wish you all the best, stay safe and healthy. Allah Hafiz, see you next week for our upcoming lectures.